Hello jerks, and welcome to Beer Club. I'm Luke, and this week we're drinking one of my favourite styles. It is a table beer from one of my favourite breweries, Three Sisters, down in beautiful New Plymouth. So table beers, despite being one of my favourite styles, is quite a rarely seen beer. I've been trying to make table beers a thing by getting as many as possible into the Beer Jerk subscription and also brewing as many as possible at small gods. We've definitely brewed more table beers than anybody in New Zealand. So whenever one does pop up, it's always very, very exciting. So the idea of a table beer is what it sounds like. It's beer for the table. So it's a traditional Belgian style beer. Has its origins in, I suppose, a Belgian Abbey single. Beer that will be brewed to be drunk in volume in cloisters and monasteries and by monks and by working people. A quaffable everyday beer. So contrary to things like triples and quadruples that are really hefty with lots of malt in them and loads of booze in them. They're light, effervescent, spritzy, and yeast forward and have a yeast character, which is such a great way to get a lot of flavour into lower ABV beers, as I've perhaps mentioned previously. A beer style that you'll very rarely find me drinking is a low alcohol IPA, just because I feel like the ingredient of hops doesn't really work at those lower ABVs, and it just ends up tasting sort of wishy-washy and watery and lackluster. And I just wish that I was drinking a 6% IPA rather than something that's 2-point-something%. But a style like this, that is 2.9%, and it is very light and very refreshing, and it's got a lot going on. With the quite unique yeast. That is reminiscent of some of those sort of traditional Belgian yeasts and wild yeasts. In this case, it's a very unique wheat yeast. It is a yeast of New Zealand. It's from Froth Tech, so New Zealand's very own yeast company that started just a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, with a great crowdfunding program. And so they've been isolating yeast and growing yeast and propagating, and for brewers it's a real boon to have our own domestic yeast company, because it is a bit of an issue working with the international yeast companies in North America, and sorry, there's lots of bird action going on in the garden today. Often there's some chicks around, so it's a bit of an issue getting yeast to come from a long way away, and especially when you're getting smaller batches and more unique and interesting yeast varieties that can just die by the time they've actually arrived here in New Zealand. All it takes is for your vials get held up at customs or somewhere along the way, and you've got your beer and it's all ready to go, and you're wanting to pitch the yeast, but the yeast is dead because it is a living thing. Yeast cells are a kind of fungus. So the Froth Tech team have been making our own local versions of a lot of these brilliant Cerevisiae, Saccharomyces, common brewers yeasts. But this one utilises a yeast strain called Wilding, which is it's not from anything. They caught it in Rangitīkei in the wild. I like to imagine them going out with miniature butterfly nets, trying to get yeast in the wild. But it's not too far off that. I think it's using yeast traps, which are, I suppose, small baths. You just get some wort or sugary water, and then see what falls in there. And under your microscope, you can isolate things. So it was very exciting news when Wilding strain was announced a couple of years ago. And that's why this beer has this this spritzy, funky, wild sort of character to it, and it's very, very dry. So what Wilding yeast does is it breaks down all of the carbohydrates into smaller parts, which means that the yeast can really get to work eating more of them. So you don't have residual sweetness, and you end up with a very light-bodied beer. So I suppose similar in a way to the trend for brut beers, in which you would have you'd brew an ale traditionally, and then you'd as you're brewing a beer, you add the brut enzyme, which the enzyme breaks down the carbohydrates into smaller pieces that the yeast can then eat more of, the end up really dry beer. So this is actually, the yeast does both those parts. I don't know if I'm making that really confusing, but anyway, it's quite, it's a really, really efficient yeast that really breaks everything down. So dry, quaffable, smashable. It would be great to see more beers like this becoming more popular and drunk more of throughout the summertime. It's lovely that there's lots of non-alcoholic beers these days, but it seems that the popularity of zero alcohol beers has led to fewer interesting low alcohol beers coming out. And that's a bit of a shame, because in that sort of 2-3% area, there is a lot of room to brew lots of interesting beers, and it's a lot easier to end up with a proper beer that's properly delicious than it is with all the restrictions around zero alcohol beers. But anyway, so another interesting thing about this beer is it's using cannabis terpenes. So terpenes are well, it's just a term for an organic flavour compound. So things that are rich in terpenes are hops, which contain lots of humulae, I think is the terpene in hops, and things like, if you think about things like pine, or like lavender, or rosemary, or just something that's really, really pungent, oily, rich, and cannabis, which is obviously a cousin to the hop plant, a lot of similarities. So recently, there's all these awesome new technologies coming out in brewing at the moment, with brewing ingredients. So all these cool things happening with like cryo processing of hops and ways of isolating flavors, which is so cool to see. So we've seen some beers made with terpenes in the last few years, which have been isolating those flavor compounds from hop varieties. So they you can extract them in an oil, which you simply then add to your beer. So you just brew a beer as normal, and then on the cold side you crash chill it, and it's literally an in oil suspension, the flavors that have been extracted from the hops, and it's really lovely that you get the pure flavor, and you can isolate specific parts of the flavor, and without having the organic materials. So you can get a real clarity of precisely what you're trying to draw from whatever plant it happens to be, and it has been hops generally that people have incorporated terpenes into the beers, but this one is with cannabis terpenes. So it's getting again another layer of interest in this smashable summery beer, which is the you're getting a touch of like the cannabis resin, which again is pretty similar to a lot of flavors that you would get in some hop varieties. But yeah, really, really cool, creative way to get some good flavors into a lower alcohol beer. So yeah, this is number 2 in the Wild One series. I was just chatting to Joe, actually. I just gave him a call just to check I had things right with the whole cannabis terpenes, and I was asking when the next Wild One is coming out. And it definitely is a series that will continue, but it might be that they just do 1 or 2 per year, because surprisingly, they're not huge sellers. People aren't clamoring at the shops to get table beers made with terpenes and weird yeast varieties, as much as we think they're fantastic. So yeah, vote with your feet next time you see a table beer from Three Sisters. Be sure to grab it. So yeah, he's really loving working with Wild Thing, and it's awesome to have a great local yeast company. So yeah, I'm excited to see what how they'll mix it up for future Wild One releases. But what has been popular with Three Sisters recently has been their quite incredible series of fruity smoothie beers, which are unlike anything else on the market in New Zealand, actually. It's been so interesting. Yes, I love chatting to Joe. He's just such an interesting person. He's an English guy. His story is similar to so many brewers. Him and his mates were brewing in the garage. His home brewery was called Bellend Brewing, and him and his mates still occasionally put out a collaboration release together with Bellend Brewing. I guess maybe they also play trumpets. I don't know where that name would have come from. Definitely not juvenile in between his humour whatsoever. And it scaled up, and now they're based in a beautiful old bank building in New Plymouth, and they've done a couple of crowdfunds now. It's a real community sort of enterprise. It's a beautiful place to visit. If you're going on your summer travels this year around that part of the world, definitely pop in and see them. And yeah, it's gone from strength to strength as a brewery. And yeah, as I said, in the last couple of years, I feel like they've really found their niche with some of these interesting beers that they're the thickest beers I've come across in New Zealand. Of course, there's a handful of brewers that are doing really good, like smoothie sours. But yeah, there's nothing like Three Sisters. If you haven't tried one of their smoothie sours, get one. It literally looks like you're pouring a banana and cherry milkshake into your glass. It's sort of clings to the sides. It's properly thick. It's so it's been interesting chatting to Joe over the last couple of years about issues they've had with canning these beers. Running them through beer lines, and just the lines of canning machines getting stuck because they're just gunged up with this milkshake custard type beer. So yeah, that's been a really cool niche for them, and they've been growing their export market as well. And of course, having that point of difference makes it a real easy sell in different markets, which is so cool to see. So yeah, they're definitely going from strength to strength, Three Sisters, and yeah, Joe has a good way of pulling together cool people. So yeah, it seems like the people that work at the brewery and work at the tap room are always fantastic. So there's a lovely guy, Amaya, that used to work there, who's now running a different pub, but he's just such a big personality, great guy. And there was Rob, an American guy that was brewing there, and he's moved on to a different brewery now. So it's kind of a hub of just really lovely people that are part of the team. And just recently, Alessio, who was the brewer at Brothers, has joined them. So just moving from around the corner in Eden Terrace in Auckland to beautiful New Plymouth. So yeah, very excited to see what's going to be happening with his influence on the brewery. So that is about it for me. Thank you to Three Sisters for being fantastic. And I didn't even mention, but it's also one of the most awarded breweries in the country. They're just constantly winning Champion Small Brewer, so at the things like the Brewers Guild Awards, at the International Brewer Awards in Australia. Yeah, they're a very, very awarded brewery, and it sounds like they're going to be ramping up production a bit with the recent growth. So you may well be seeing a bit more of their beers around the country, and I'm looking forward to drinking more of their beers. Anyway. Great work to Three Sisters team. Thank you for drinking along with us, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.